treat the smallest guy like he's the biggest guy.
Yeah.
Because why? The guy that can start over here may end up blowing up. I saw that firsthand. Antonio Brown was a fifth-round draft pick.
Hey, Dallas Cowboys star tattooed right here.
That's
my buddy.
it.
I love Dallas.
I tell you, our connection is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting how it is. And so I just now, I don't even go to the games no more because it's just been, we overdid it.
Welcome back to Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast with your host, Zach Dingy.
Tony Capoletti.
Today, we are in Boca Raton, Florida with our guest, Alex Odiari. He's a wealth strategist, financial educator, and former Division I athlete.
We met this gentleman yesterday after we completed day 2 of the Volt Conference, which is hosted by Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment. An incredible tribe of people came out here, all in the name of business and increasing their standing and leveraging what they do in the business world. And we sat down and had a very interesting conversation. And I think my favorite takeaway of what you do was the simple statistic that I believe it was 78% of professional athletes go bankrupt 3 years after they finish playing, after they retire.
After retire.
That's insane. and I've heard that a long time ago, and I always thought to myself, like, how? How could somebody with so much money lose it? But, you know, if you're financially illiterate, it's so easy to. But that's your niche. I mean, I believe that was part of your niche.
Mm-hmm. That is my niche. That's literally, part of it, for sure.
So tell us how you got there. You were a former Division I athlete at what school?
So I played at Oklahoma State first, and I finished up at SMU. So I graduated from SMU there in Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
You know, extremely fortunate to do that. So
you played full 4 years?
All for 3 years. I finished last year. I just focused more on trying to finish up the school. So yeah.
And what position?
I was a linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell by the sheer size of the fucking man, he was a linebacker. And so after 3 years, what happened?
Yeah. So afterwards, man, I was fortunate enough to have worked for a sports agency. You know, I got in there as an intern. When I got in, just like anybody else, I was trying to earn my stripes. Never thought in a million years, I'd even be in that position, but it was a dream of mine to be able to work on the business side of sports. Mm-hmm. And I was so lucky that one of my best friends on the team at the time was a highly touted athlete. And, the agency that he ended up going with was kind enough to bring me on as an intern. And that's where my journey began,
And so you've been doing it for how long now?
So this started I graduated in 2010. So once I graduated, I got right into right into it. Right before I graduated college, I was already an intern, finishing up doing that.
8 years later, if you could go back, would you rather have gone to the NFL or gone into this field?
100% gone to this field.
So you think this is a much better decision?
1,000% better.
Fate.
Because I wouldn't have brought any value just being the guy that just played the game versus seeing the game for all it is.
I like that.
From seeing it from a 30,000 square foot view of what they're seeing. Yep. And, like I said, I was fortunate when I was at SMU, the mindset was different. The individuals I was in class with had parents that owned companies, owned sports teams. So these guys were thinking of, after I graduate, I'm gonna go run a company. I'm gonna run this, sports franchise per se.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So it's different mindset. So for me, it was like I got excited one day when a gentleman came up to me and his dad owned a huge NFL team right now. I'm not gonna say names, but
please say something.
So we were talking one day, just at lunch, and we were just chit-chatting, and I was like, man, I can't wait for your dad to draft me. What would you pay me, man? He was like, how much would you want to get paid? And I'm jokingly saying $15 million a year, throwing these outrageous numbers. And then it just dawned on me. He just said, have you ever thought about what it would be like to be an owner? Like, do you know how much the owner has to have to pay you $15 million?
It's crazy.
And I think that statement alone
sparked something in
it just changed everything. He's like,
different level of perspective.
He's like, do you know how much he has to have to give you 15? Mm-hmm. And if you're excited about 15, you really need to get excited about the number that he has to have. And to me, that right there was like, that's the game I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to cut that check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to make that decision when things happen. And so over years, when things are played out through the NFL, you realize, man, players all want to play, but nobody's talking about owning their own team. Is when things happen, is when people start speaking about ownership.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit of the specifics on a day-to-day of you operating this business, who you operate it with?
Right. So it's crazy how we started. When we got started in the business, my job was simple, which is going out there recruiting athletes, and you can imagine.
Give us the name of the business as well.
So, I worked for Jordan Ward. He's with Willis & Ward Sports Group.
Okay.
That was our founding agent. So one of the things that changed our business was when Reggie Bush, I don't know if you guys remember, had that incident with the Heisman.
Yeah.
Right? It changed the whole model of our business because the NCAA came in, the NFL came in and said, well, we can no longer have sub-agents anymore. Because I was not technically a sports agent. I don't do contracts.
Right.
I was just the guy in the middle that can go bring the guys in.
Yeah.
So that was my role, but I was so thankful looking back because when that happened, I had to learn another way to make money.
Yeah.
And I got into working for FC Dallas, and that's why I met a gentleman that got into, in the financial industry.
Yep.
And for me, it was like, I didn't want to be a sports agent. I liked everything the agent did, but I felt like he could do more. And I realized the financial part was big for me because all the players I have recruited, the biggest thing I used to tell them was, I got your back till the wheels fall off, till the wheels do fall off.
Yeah.
So they have that financial headache and they call you and say, hey, it's gone. And you got to find a solution. And it's like, all this time, I wasn't prepared. I was just like everybody else. Be smart, invest. But what does that mean?
Right. It's easy to say that.
It's easy to say that.
But what do you really do?
Exactly.
And that's where you come in and you...
Right. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the difference between what you're doing and what an agent typically do. An agent is like, hey, we're gonna help you get the most money in a contract. We're gonna help you get these endorsement deals.
Right.
You're like, yeah, it's cool, but
Right.
I'm gonna help you actually build wealth and make money for the rest of your life type thing.
Most definitely, but not just telling them, building it, because I realized the challenge I dealt with most of my athletes, when I sat with all of them down, I started asking questions. How did you pick your financial advisor? What questions did you ask them? And what did you know about finance? About what your money, where it's going. You have a 401k, do you understand the basics of it?
Yep.
Do you understand how money grows, how it gets doubled, how it gets taxed? Because players think, hey, I got $1 million check, but they're not including the tax.
Yeah.
So they're not including that $400,000 may go to Uncle Sam, because that's not, so you're off. Imagine being off $400,000.
Yeah.
So financial literacy, I realized, was common, but it's not just within athletes. This happens with everyday individual. This is a global pandemic.
Yeah. Right.
This is a global issue.
100%. That's why people are here.
Right.
Because of it.
Right.
Right.
And why you said that, before I forget this, you said it to me last
Right.
night. I don't know how many people know this. If you're an athlete and you play for Dallas Cowboys, when you go to New York and play the New York Jets, you get taxed. Your game check is taxed as you live in New York because you played in New York.
That was a gem
And
he
then
dropped on us
California, whatever.
yesterday.
So that's crazy because
That's insane.
even if you live in Dallas, you live in the state where there's no income tax and no state tax, and then you go and play in New York. Well, usually if you're making $300,000 a game, now you're making $212 a game or whatever, $150 a game,
Every
which is
city
crazy.
they go to, they get taxed on.
That's crazy.
That's so wild.
Whatever the city tax status is, that's what your check has to go through.
So wild.
So you have to imagine how that money has to go through before it actually comes back to you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It goes through a lot. It goes
goes
through the
through
ringer,
a
and they're
lot.
W-2 guys. So that's the big play for you.
So it's your job to not only help them pay their taxes,
Right.
keep them out of trouble, but essentially a regular agent just gets them the money.
Right.
Now you're teaching them how to leverage it, keep it safe,
Right.
and turn it into more.
More, most definitely. And just leverage their whole brand in itself. How do you, because the agent, that's literally, they're just getting you the contract and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And
Right.
that's what I saw. I thought that's what I wanted to do, but I realized there was being more, most financial advisors would say, let me manage your money.
Yeah.
And then you go do your own thing. I actually want my guys to understand why your money's in that account.
Right.
Why are we not using a bank versus this account?
Right.
How does that leverage?
I think a good metaphor is like they're providing a vehicle,
Right.
but nobody's teaching you how to drive.
Exactly.
And now you're here, driver's ed, baby.
Exactly.
They don't teach you how to do the turns.
Exactly.
So the story you told right before we got on camera was about one of your players, and you saw him the day before draft day and the line at McDonald's. He can barely afford McDonald's to eat. So obviously, most people probably know this, but there's the deeper level of why. how come these guys, they grow up poor their whole life, they finally make money, and all he's saying is like, when I get in the NFL, I'll never have to worry about money. And their mindset is so broken that they get in the NFL, they think they never have to worry about money. They make their first $1 million, and then all of a sudden, that $1 million is $600,000 in taxes, to your agent, to your fees, to your managers. You got to buy this person a house. You got to buy a nice car.
Right.
Your $1 million's gone in the first month you get it. You know. So what is the root cause, do you think, of that itself?
Again, it's the one thing I realized. Again, we go back to it. It's financial literacy.
Yeah.
Just understanding just the basics of what that looks like. Some of these guys, you know, when they're getting ready to get drafted, based upon where they're going to be drafted. Sometimes, you know, you have financial companies per se that would give you guys an advance, right? Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. So you've been living or whatever you were living before, apartments, house, wherever you were living before, just fine. But now as you're getting closer to that money, you feel the need to upgrade your lifestyle. And some guys just go to the extreme in that perspective. Do I blame them? Nah, it's your dream. You've been...
Right.
But
of
it's
course,
like, how do I leverage that?
Right.
You know, how do I take the same 100,000 but use it 3 times?
Yeah,
You know?
I like that right there. That was a good one. So you're dealing with mostly college athletes, though.
No, right, college, but pro.
Going into pro.
And so let's give a little backstory is that 3 years ago, a partner and I came from San Diego and we created an incubator to educate athletes in Dallas. And we were talking about what would it be like to educate college athletes. We had created a whole incubator. It was our own thing we did privately. And we had some of these former pro players that were retired, because Dallas is a hub of retirement players.
Yeah.
So these guys are coming in, and I'm talking to these guys about financial literacy, and they're saying, nobody told me about this. So you have retired players coming to our office, getting licenses, learning financials, and saying they wish they would have done things differently, because this knowledge to them was they were told something completely different. If I asked those guys, why did you put your money in a 401k? They couldn't tell you. If I said them from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 means you're an expert, 1 means you don't know much about it, they would be like, I have no clue. I'm like, does it make sense to put your money in something you understand? And
No, that's rule number 1 of money. That's what Warren Buffett
I don't
says.
want it to be lost on us how hypocritical it is that you just said, you're teaching college kids. If only there was a place where they could be taught. College kids.
Yeah.
It's so like, come on. What is going on in the school system where they're not teaching financial literacy? It's insane.
It is wild. And now college players are getting paid. It's exciting, but it's about to get worse.
Yeah, because now they're getting money even younger,
they get money
even
younger.
earlier.
Easy to
with
take
less
advantage
knowledge.
of them.
Right.
They're going to be surrounded by people that just want to suck them dry.
So if you think about now NIL deals, just look at SMU instead, like the school that I got fortunate to play at.
Yeah.
SMU instead is players are getting paid right now minimum. Even if you're on the bench, you make $36,000 a year, minimum.
Wow.
For football and basketball.
college?
In college, right now.
Wow.
That's not
a stat
including
right
your
there.
other deals. So if you're a quarterback, that's just your base salary. It's not including your other NIL deals you're gonna get.
Right.
Holy shit.
So you think that's crazy? Look at Archie Manning, the #1 quarterback going to Texas.
Yep.
They're saying his NIL deal is gonna be $10 million his freshman year. This man's gonna be making more money than most pro quarterbacks.
Dude,
in his
imagine that
freshman
guy's
year.
life in college.
It's insane, but
Crazy.
again,
Imagine that kid's
It's
life in
easy to
college,
see
making
how
$10
they-
million
right,
in a
10
dorm.
million. But why would you need a dorm?
He's gonna have to have security outside his
has
fucking
to.
dorm door.
Why you need a dorm though? If you have a 10 million, coach, come on,
that's
man,
true.
let me go
Yeah.
get a man.
You're not getting a dorm.
What
You're
am
gonna
I-
be in college living in a mansion.
in a mansion.
It's a little
Comfortable.
easier to understand how these people lose their money.
Right.
Because
100%.
when it comes so easy,
Right.
I bet you spend it so much easier.
Because you're thinking all the things you're gonna get, but you're not considering all the things that come with the tax. So if you're thinking about I'm buying a home, you thinking I bought the home, is mine. But people forget about the property tax, the insurance, all the stuff that just keeps going.
Oh, it's a cost. Having a house is a cost, even if you pay it off.
Biggest
Pay it
liability
off.
in the world.
You know, so it's still going, but it's just the basics of just saying, hey, let's just, whether it's partnerships, there's other ways we can, make this better for yourself.
Yep.
But then trying to get them right in the right individual. So my goal now is to facilitate, is to become that facilitator for those guys, because as college players, you're getting paid right now. It's exciting, but at the same time, if you don't know where to put your money,
Oh, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. So you're gonna just buy stuff that you're always wanting to buy anyways, your favorite shoes, your favorite, video games, things you don't really need. And eventually they're gonna say, I didn't need all that.
Yeah.
But I bought it because I didn't know what else to do with it.
Yeah.
So you have multiple angles of what
Right.
you're doing. Talk about financial literacy. You also talk about taxes and
Right.
saving money on that. You work with a law firm, legal company. So give me like your full sphere. What is it? What is it all? What
So
exactly?
we're literally, you almost would say like we're a one-stop shop. Most people consider a concierge service for business owners and for athletes, business owners, and everyday individual. And here's why that's so important. Most athletes are eventually going to become business owners at some point. Most athletes want to do business.
Yep.
Most business owners love athletes because they were at one point either athletes themselves too,
Right.
Or it just aspire, just love their drive as athletes. So there's an inspiration in both parties, correct? So now it's like, how do you let them come together to feed off each other? If you look at Emmitt Smith, you look at his upbringing in terms of being, after playing and getting into real estate, he had to count on somebody else like Roger Staubach, who is killing in real estate.
Big in
to
real
say,
estate.
hey, I'm done playing.
Roger
How do I
Dodger.
get my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is life after sports.
Yeah.
So how do I, connect with somebody like yourself who's in real estate? How do I connect with somebody like yourself who's in solar to give them that extra edge to say, hey, I don't have all the information.
But I
I'm
can
just going to be the guy.
facilitate it.
I can
Right.
facilitate it for you because there's a bunch of BS out there, and I just want to facilitate it for you because it makes it a lot more efficient. So we move together as a team. So it's
Yeah.
never ending. It's never ending because every year our things are changing. Players now have to think about how to brand themselves. I never thought about branding myself in college.
Right.
Now in college it's about, hey, the more followers I get, the better sponsorship I can get.
The more sex I have.
College.
Don't fluff it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know what it
Right.
is. The more followers, the more sex I
The
have
more,
in college.
so it's getting insane. So everything now has to be different for athletes because they got to start thinking as a college player, as a business owner. What
Right.
deals am I going to take? What deals am I not going to take? You got to start thinking about at the end of the year, I got to pay taxes. I never
Right.
thought about paying taxes my freshman year in college. All I want to do is go out and have a good time.
Literally, it's like as soon as you become an athlete in college, you are a business owner.
You're a business
You don't even, you don't have to own anything. You
Right.
are the business.
You have a
and-
brand to
You know what I
protect,
mean?
grow.
Immediately.
So even
which
if-
is insane.
It is insane. No, but it's going to get, here's the crazy part. It's even going to go scarier. Here's why it's going to get scarier. It's going to get scarier because what happens when high school players start getting paid?
Oh
Even
my
lower when it
God.
keeps going down. So
Could
do
you
you
imagine?
think,
It will happen.
Could you imagine?
It's not could imagine, it's coming.
what's percentage of
Yeah.
that? Well, give me out of 100%, what's the percentage's chance of high school athletes getting paid in the next decade, next 20 years?
I would say 80-something% right now.
Really?
100%. Why? It's already happening in certain schools. I gotta verify. I'm looking at my thing to verify where it is, because not in Texas yet. But other states have already implemented, like I think California is the first.
High school players.
High school players.
I'm
Here's
sorry.
why.
You said 80% of them are going to be getting paid?
No. I said give me a percentage chance out of 20 in the next 20 years.
Okay. It's
You
gonna
said there's a
And I-
80% chance.
Well, to add to that,
4 to 5.
how many of them will be getting paid?
Well, you gotta look
Because
at
they got to be high level. Sorry.
Yeah, they gotta be high level. I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
correct on that. But if you think of like LeBron James' son,
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
right? He's still in high school.
Yep.
He's still got a kid that's younger than
Yeah, Bryce.
Right, Bryce.
Bryce, and what's
He's
the other
still
one?
coming up.
Yeah.
So now you gotta start thinking about, like, imagine LeBron, there's phenoms like Kobe Bryant that came out of high school, LeBron James that came out of high school, Kevin Garnett, those guys then, like, they're now superstars. So most
Yeah.
companies are thinking, why don't we just go all the way to high school?
Yeah.
Now? Well, what's the difference?
Go earlier and earlier and earlier.
Earlier and
Do you
earlier
think
and
that's a
earlier.
good thing or a bad thing?
It's both. It's bad because it's good and bad because I'm not gonna shy the player of getting paid. If you get to the place where you are bringing that much business, you deserve that, right? But also too, the challenge is educating them on what to do with it.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to give it to somebody if you're gonna get it back. If they don't know what to do with it.
See, the weird thing is though, in high school is like, colleges make money off these
Right.
athletes. They pay to go to the school. They got a scholarship or whatever. High school guys are going to a public school. You know
They
what
go
I
to
mean?
public school, but you also have guys that are bringing in. It's gonna start evolving.
Yeah.
The game is. We never thought college players would get paid, and it's so funny that SMU was the one that started.
Was it really?
Yeah, no, well, you gotta remember, SMU got the death penalty for paying players back in the day.
What?
Yeah. If you
What's
ever
that
look- So I can't wait for you guys to do, check in the story.
Yeah,
on
now I
that.
gotta research
You gotta
this
really
story.
do the story now. So SMU, back in the day, now all colleges were doing this. This is on 30 for 30 on ESPN. This is a documentary.
It is.
This is a real story that actually, so Eric Dickerson, some of those players were saying that some of these guys made more money in college than they did in the NFL.
Oh my God.
So this is not like, so now it's legal. We were going overboard with it in Texas. They were just giving guys cars, salary, just insane. These guys were living.
You said Eric Dickerson talked about this?
No,
He's on the 30 for 30?
It's on the 30 for 30.
That's wild.
Yeah,
wow.
it's not my story. Go watch it. Go
That
watch
is
your
wild.
own deal, and it would all make sense. But this is reality of what, because you have, like you said, brands are thinking futuristic. How do I get a guy like, like I said, LeBron's kids? Look at the Melos.
Yeah.
When he came up, right? Who nobody thought he was going to, so imagine being a brand that could have been attached to that so early.
Right.
And then watch it blow up. So these guys are thinking like, how do we start getting closer? Nike, how do I start getting guys like this, wearing my shoes?
Yep.
AAUs, how do I get the number one player?
Yeah.
Because if he's the number one player, chances are he's going to be the number one draft pick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's been happening for a while now.
Right. So they
You
look
go
at
after
them-
high school guys.
right.
High school guys, kids in 6th grade having 10 D1 offers.
Exactly.
Like,
So
That's
What?
insane.
Exactly. So what do I got to do to get you the best deals? So if I'm giving you a deal, why not? Your senior year, that's probably when most players are going to start seeing the most amount of money because at that point they're one step away from college.
now let me ask you, so what I'm thinking, your competitor really is, and do you think this will ever happen? The colleges themselves, for these athletes, now that they see they're getting paid, they make it a division, not the college itself. I'm talking about the football, the basketball division. Do you see, just like they have a strength coach, do you think they'll eventually get into now having a wealth coach or at least a financial advisor for the team themselves? Do you think that's ever going to happen, or?
That's a good question. And, this podcast, it's going to get us to some serious issues because of
You can't answer that question?
because of sponsorships, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's just, when I start understanding how money works,
Yeah.
everything started making sense to me,
Yeah.
right? If I go on campus and I see, posters about the banks, right? And then I understand how banks work.
Yeah, I like what you said about
And then I
this.
start asking myself, why would they want to cut their own money? Would you?
Right.
So what the school is saying is, hey, the school wouldn't take the liability of trying to keep control of that because it almost felt like a monopoly.
Yeah.
What they're saying is we're going to put people in front of you so we can give you the option to make that decision. Because if they take that responsibility, that means they're saying that if you have a tax problem, then we're liable for that.
Right.
For every kid.
Right.
You can't do that for every kid.
No shot.
To the resource, they don't even have, there's not enough, and there's not enough licensed agents to help with the volume. The volume was already bad before. It's already bad with the baby boomers. We're talking millions. We need millions of advisors to be able to, they will get licensed to educate these guys. It's not enough. So the school, there's not enough infrastructure to do it.
To handle it.
To handle it. It's too much. You got to think about now, every school, you got to think about not just football, basketball, baseball, soccer, tennis,
Yeah.
swimming. You want to take all that liability on your, nah. I just want to make money and help you make sure that you're not taking money that you don't need to be taking. The rest of it's on you. Go do you.
So maybe that's why nobody wants to get involved.
Nobody
because
wants
there's
to-
a lot of liability. I smell some serious regulation coming soon.
It's gonna come soon, but again, it's just the money side is, if you look at how these guys are getting paid by sponsors, they're getting paid millions. This is TV sponsor money, man. This is how these guys eat.
Right.
I'm not gonna cut down my own sponsorship
Right.
that I've been getting for years. Over your $36,000 a year deal, I'm getting millions.
Yeah.
All right,
You
I got
know?
a controversial question for you. Do you think NFL players are overpaid?
No, they're not
No.
paid enough. You
They're
see,
not paid enough.
It sounds like, what we're seeing is how much money players are getting paid, so we get excited about the millions.
Right.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions.
Patrick
Remember
Mahomes, $500 million, 10
well,
years.
how-
But the question is, how much are they bringing in?
How much are they bringing in? Exactly.
$500 million contract, 10 years.
Again, remember I told you a question, the same thing that's happened to me. If you get excited about 500 million, how much money would I have to give you that?
Right.
And what do I think of your value to give you that?
Right.
Agreed.
So someone's cutting that check. What's he making?
What's he making?
100%.
When Nike decided to work with Jordan, how much shoes are they selling with Jordan versus without him?
Right.
Do you want to work with us?
Yeah, everybody talks about how much money Jordan made on his
Right,
Jordans.
right.
How about Nike?
How much Nike's making?
Oh my God.
Nobody talks about how much the owners are making.
Right.
Which is so crazy because they put all the attention on the players. Oh, they're making too much money.
Yeah.
What about the teams that are putting $2 billion to build a stadium?
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
Raider Stadium just cost $2.1 billion.
Nobody's talking about that. When Jerry Jones built his stadium, nobody spoke about that.
Right.
All these new stadiums popping up, all these schools building 100 million plus stadiums, nobody says anything. But a guy gets 10 million, it's like, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's
Very
a good
good
answer.
answer.
That's a good answer. I can't hate on you on that one.
I agree with you 100%.
They're shining a light on the wrong person.
Who's the Green Bay Packers? Aren't Green Bay Packers the only non-profit NFL organization in the entire
The
league?
the NFL at one point was a nonprofit itself.
Yes, correct.
So they changed this.
I think Green Bay Packers is the only
There's
team that's
something
a
different about
non-profit.
Well,
Green
they're
Bay
owned by their fans, like their shareholders.
Correct.
They own, something like that.
They own equity.
The fans have some kind of shareholders on their seat with them, so it's very unique.
All right, let's ask you a couple rapid fire questions.
Oh, I got a good one.
Go ahead, start it off.
Biggest name you can tell us that you've worked with?
Biggest name.
Give us a couple if you got them.
Couples, I got them, man. You know, one of them. I give shout out to the big homie, by the way, man. You know, he really. I don't give him enough. I don't give this man enough thanks for at least giving me the platform to run on, the believing in me very early on. I don't, you know, though we've had our differences, I'm always so forever grateful and indebted to this gentleman. And it's Emmanuel Sanders. Wow. You know, Emmanuel Sanders, you know, when he got a chance to get drafted, right, for real though, like seriously, the big homie really looked out. He gave me a chance when he was working with his agency and we were talking about doing something the next level, the next future. He believed in it so much that I got scared. Wow. Because I started forgetting, when you're so long friends with somebody for such a long time and they blow up, you forget that they're a different light and you guys can't play the game the way you used to play anymore.
Yeah.
So the rules have changed. And you still kind of stuck here and they're moving here. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn different levels of like how we move when we go out. You can't just respond to everybody's negative thoughts.
Right.
You got to take that as part of that's the part of the territory.
Yeah.
You know, so we have other big names that, like I said, our agency was known for bringing in a lot of big names. You have Terrell Owens, you have Donald Driver, you know, T.O., those guys. You know, we had some, you know, the name runs in, you know, Daryl Washington, Flozell Adams, you know, some other big guys. So we've had, you know, some pretty big names come through us. You know, names. It's you know, Adric Robinson per se, and the list goes on, you know, and it's never ending. But again, those opportunities, those guys, you know, when their careers first started, and to where it is now, I'm so proud of all of them. But you know, it was friendship that allows me to get my foot in the door, and you know, to even be where I'm at today.
Terrell Owens or Ocho Cinco?
I think both of them are different. You can't compare them.
Okay.
Right, different style of game and entertainment. For me, you know, T.O.
Who's more entertaining?
Chad.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like from what I
Cinco.
remember from watching football when I was younger, I feel like Terrell Owens was like the first athlete where it was after game day, and they're not talking about the game, they're talking about his behavior. He was the first one to have that rock star mentality. And correct me if I'm wrong, do you remember anyone before him who was doing it? What was he doing? He's running around. He's running around with
Sharpies. Yeah.
Sharpies in his socks.
But yeah,
crazy, bro.
I it was so crazy. I love them both.
Yeah.
Right. I love them extremely both because again, Chad did it for me because every week with the Hall of Fame jackets, the way he would do with the cheerleaders, I always paid attention to Chad. I wasn't a Bengal fan, but I just wanted him to score just to see what he was going to do. Because he knew something. It's like,
so entertaining, man.
And every time I watched, and then they changed the rules and everything.
All right, who's your favorite middle linebacker or linebacker? That was your position.
Ray Lewis.
There's
Oh,
nothing
he was
better.
the guy that inspired me to play the game, man. The guy was like ferocious on how he did his deal, man. The guy was, yeah, definitely.
Greatest football player of all time.
Jeez, that's
You
tough,
could
man.
do it. You could count the accolades. You can count skill set, entertainment. You could throw all of them in there. Just general greatest football player of all time.
You know the first name that came to my head? I got the ones and twos that did
Okay.
it for me. It's gonna blow most people. I'm gonna shock a lot of people, including myself. But it's Deion Sanders,
Okay.
right? And then Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Like they're
Listen,
neck and
Tom
neck.
Brady
Brady
has the
for
most
me.
accolades,
It's
but
Tom-
Deion Sanders
Yeah,
was unbelievable. Like, if you threw the ball near Deion Sanders,
exactly.
it was going in his hands.
It was going in his hands. And most people forget he was a wide receiver.
Yes, I know, on both sides.
Yeah.
And he entertained, and
Right.
dude, that guy's a legend.
A legend. Catch
That
the
guy's a
ball
legend.
like nobody wanted to kick to Deion because you knew he dared you to kick the ball to him.
Yeah,
And you knew if that ball touched his hands, magic was going to
I
happen.
love that answer. I love that answer.
feel like
Because everyone
everybody
was going to
sleeps
say
on-
Tom Brady because of his accolades.
Right.
But Deion is.
Polamalu is always so slept on.
Yeah, but he
He
ain't
was
up there.
part of
He might
every
have been the
single
best safety ever.
defensive play. If you watch the game, he was always there. He was always at the ball.
I'll tell you one thing, he's got the best hair in the game.
Yeah, that's for sure. Shouts
Best
out
hair
Head
in
and
the
Shoulders.
game.
All right, I got a question about the business.
Please, please.
Now, when you take on a client, how do you service them based on what they want to get into? You sort of educate them and then say, oh, you want to get into real estate? Do you want to put your money in crypto? Do you want to buy NFTs? And these are just examples, but how do you decide how you're going to help them with their money and how to leverage their money? Do you have sort of a platform that you put everyone through, or is it case and prospect specific?
It's a mixture of both, right? And one thing Robert Kiyosaki spoke about yesterday is having a team, a strong team. I'm not by myself. I have a phenomenal team. I go out of my way, whether it's networking, going to events like this, to meet incredible people and to even recruit incredible people to work with you. You know, it's all part of the game. It's just how do I, maximize what I'm doing? How do I scale? Because I don't know everything. So the biggest thing that has worked for me is information. So a lot of guys, whether it's business owners or athletes or every individual I work with, is just sharing education information that they may or may not know about. Like right now, for business owners, one of the reasons I managed with I was a managing partner to a law firm, is because of an information called ERC, tax credits. Right? Imagine being a business owner that was affected by the pandemic and you could get $26,000 per employee, up to 500 employees. How powerful is it to have money you don't have to pay back right now?
Ooh, that's some juice.
Right?
And how do you even find out about that?
Exactly. Right? So the PPP loan everybody knew about, but this is not being spoke about. So all the good information you need, you either have to go somewhere like this,
Right.
right? Get around the right individuals to find out, because the information we shared in here over this past couple of days
Incredible.
is not something that you're gonna just find
Not the
out
norm.
there.
No,
You
They're
have
not
to
talking about it on
Nah.
the news, and they're not. You don't read it in a book.
No.
It's nowhere to be found.
It's nowhere to be found. You have to go somewhere and get around the right individuals that are leveraging it.
Yeah.
And also, too, how do I get somebody to use the same money twice? I got $1 million. How do I help my players say, hey, you're going to buy that car? Great. Let's just put it into this then. You take $800,000 out. Your million is still growing like you never left, but you still went and spend your money and buy everything you wanted.
I hear a secret coming.
Right?
Come on.
Exactly.
Spill it on us. How do you do that?
So it's information, like I say, there's nothing really to it than sharing information and just putting it in perspective of, did you know you could do that?
Right.
Did you understand how this works? And then just breaking out the simple terms. So when I ask you about bank, what do you get? I'm not giving you those numbers, you're giving me those numbers. When I asked you how long did it take for your money to double, you told me, man, it's gonna take me forever.
Right.
But at the same time, when I ask you, well, the same bank is gonna turn around and get your credit card, your car note, your house, student loan.
They're milking you.
They're milking you.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything, but that's just education. So you're just like, oh, wait a minute. I've been doing this. Somebody's made it aware what's going on.
Right.
It's like, how do I leverage, but how do I maximize my money, especially we're talking about inflation right now. So the same $100 you had, 6 months ago, is not getting you the same $100 worth of things now.
What is it now? It's like $60.
Right? So where do you put your money to maximize it?
Yeah.
How do you maximize your cash flow? If you're a business owner, how would you take your expenses to revenue? you're going to spend it already. You're going to have an overhead. So it's information. So when I sit with an individual and I share information that makes sense to them, then it gives us an ideal situation to sit down and talk more and then customize something because everybody's different. You're going to have people in real estate, you're going to have people in solar, you're going to have people in, restaurants, name it. It's different industries, different credits.
Yeah.
Right? It's different tax credits that come with your division that isn't your division.
Right.
Yep.
Right? So that information is not going to apply for everybody. So customizing it, but really attracting the person that says, wait a minute, I've not heard that before. I need to know more. And if they want to know more, and then it opens up the market to say, let me show you options.
It's not the money you make, it's the money you keep.
Right. Exactly.
It seems like the niche is incredible, right? Because it's almost like the more they pay you, the more they make.
Right.
Or keep. Or leverage better.
Right.
So it's like, you could make a lot of money doing that.
So imagine what Kiyosaki said yesterday, right? How incredible is this for somebody to share that he has over, $11 billion in debt, but doesn't
No, 1.2 billion.
1.2 billion,
Yeah.
okay, and doesn't pay taxes.
Don't pay taxes, yeah.
Right, legally.
Right.
Let's not forget that, legally.
Legally, yeah.
So the question is, how is a man that makes that kind of money as a billionaire pay less taxes than a teacher?
Right.
Just conceptualize that for a second.
It's insane.
Right?
But that's what they write all you gotta know is know the code.
Right.
You gotta
The
know
code.
the law,
Know
you
the
gotta
code.
know the
The
things, you
code.
gotta ask the
Right.
people, you gotta
Right.
ask the questions.
So if I can help you keep 95% from going to Uncle Sam, how valuable am I to you?
Right.
So so to make what you said it before, I didn't care no more how much these players were gonna make. I was gonna show you how to keep it.
Yeah. So you don't even cost them money at all. When they meet you, they're making money.
They're making money.
That's a good niche to work
That's a
in.
great
You
money.
need you got a slogan for that? You got to get a good slogan
I gotta
for
get
that.
something for that, yeah.
You got to get one right there.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What you
Making
just
money.
said.
And if you're a business owner too. If I'm a business owner and I have $2.5 million tax liability, and you came to me and I get rid of it to 10, 20,000, how valuable am I to you?
Yeah.
So now when you transition from playing to a business owner, I'm still helping you out when you're done playing.
Yeah.
Because your business is now, I'm helping you even keep that.
Yeah.
Because you might end up making more. Some players make way more when they're done playing than they did even playing.
Yeah.
Most, if you're doing it smart.
So your customer retention.
Customer retention is going to be crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm building value. See, before, everybody was like, how are you going to make money? How are you making money? But I was like, if you bring enough value, if you save somebody a lot of money, if I save you $1 million, what is $250,000 to you?
Yeah.
And I never shared this enough. That's what helped me when I started recruiting athletes. When I was recruiting players, there was no manual on how to recruit an athlete to work in your agency. So my key came up to be like, how do I add value? So I would try to find deals where there's like club appearance. Say, hey, bro, I got $2,000 for you to go show up to the club this weekend. I got $5,000 for an autograph session, and we'll build it up. So now a player get excited every time he sees you. You the money guy. You putting money in my pocket.
Yeah.
You get my Twitter verified.
His wife likes you.
You know what I'm saying? You getting deals done. When
Yeah.
you call me, you put money in my pocket. So I pick up your call quicker than the guys call me to tell me what's going to charge to take it out of my pocket. It's like, man, let that go to voicemail.
Yeah.
But this guy that's telling me about how to get money, I want to talk to that guy.
Right.
And so we talk about my favorite example right now. If you look at George Foreman made more money selling grills than he did boxing.
Yep.
It's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
He made more money selling grills. So imagine being able to help a guy like that with his boxing career and then get to a point where he's selling over $1 billion in sales. And you help him manage in that process.
You're walking away.
Right.
Big smile on your face.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm helping you. So you look at Roger Staubach. The guy has over
Insane.
Insane amount of real estate, probably close to $1 billion right now. He's damn near like worth over 600 million himself.
Yeah.
So imagine being the guy that helps him manage his money. So imagine he didn't make that when he played football. He probably didn't even make close to $1 million when he played football.
Especially not back in the day
Not
like
back in the day.
No.
So when he transitioned to real estate and dominating that space, imagine being the financial guy that went from managing, less than $1 million to now close to $1 billion.
Crazy.
So if you help somebody build that long-term goal, you look at Jordan. You help him say, hey, Jordan my favorite one is Kobe Bryant. They say 17 years Kobe Bryant made playing basketball, he made $320 million. In 2014, he invested like $15 million in
that drink?
that body armor that sold for $5.1 billion. right?
Body
Body
armor.
armor,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So now this is the reason why I tell athletes about entrepreneurship. This is why it's so powerful. He invested $15 million in 2014. When he died, they sold the company about last year about 5.1 billion was the sale.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola bought it for. Guess what his cut was?
400 million.
400 million. So he made more money in 6 years off that deal than his
entire basketball
career.
That's crazy.
That's realistic. So think about that. His whole basketball career, one investment in 6 years, he did it in 6, then 17.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. So you look at LeBron, when LeBron came in and we talk about $90 million Nike contract, we thought that was crazy. Well, look how much LeBron has made Nike.
Yeah.
So now become a billionaire, and imagine you go from managing 90 million to multiple billions.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the long term of what these guys can be long after, not just while they're playing.
Right.
Because if I can set you up long after, that's where the long bread is, because no team's gonna pay you $600 million unless you're that guy. So
you got to play a different game. If you're an employee, you got to get to sales. If you're in sales, you got to get to sales leadership. If you're in sales leadership, you got to get to a C-suite executive. If you're a C-suite executive, you got to get to an owner. You got to play the different game. You got to get to these next levels. If you're an athlete, then you get endorsements, then you get sponsorships, then you got to become a business owner. Then you got to think about the equity in other companies, investments.
You know the best way to do it?
It's a different game, man.
I'm talking to my boy Alex over here.
Alex got the secrets, the knowledge,
He's
man. I
got
appreciate
the
you being
sauce,
on.
ladies and gentlemen.
You know, but if you look at one more thing I will share though, because this is the reason why I love what we do here, right? And I look at all the opportunities most players have missed out on, because sometimes it's not always about the money. And the reason I say that, if you look at Spencer Haywood, he had a chance to own 10% of Nike when Nike first started. Nike gave him $100,000 to come on board. They were like,
I remember that story.
Brand new.
I remember that story.
Nobody knew who Nike was.
Man.
I remember that, and he took the $100,000.
He took the $100,000 instead with Reebok. And
He could have owned 10% of Nike.
10% of Nike.
Multiple billionaire
Multiple
today.
billions later. So, but $100,000 today is a lot of money. But to him back then, $100,000 back then, that's close to a couple million. Like that's almost close to $1 million if you look at back then. So he had to take it.
Watch what happens to these high school athletes.
So I'm saying?
Sign a contract for $100,000. Okay. All right, now I'm going to make $40 million off of you.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're getting nothing.
Nothing.
That's where I think there's going to be there's going to need to be regulation with that.
But it's not even so much regulation. If somebody signs a deal, not educated on the deal,
Correct.
you can't blame them.
Right.
That's why having the right team. If you think about Kobe, he's like, hey, I don't want to just be another athlete that is going to be used for the model to sell the sports drink.
Yeah.
I actually want to be put my own money into seeing this actually grow somewhere.
Right.
So if something happens, I want that too. That's what Patrick was talking about yesterday, right? Entrepreneurship. Steve Ballmer, these guys being part of these big companies before they blew up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's where the biggest money is going to be made.
Yep.
And so if most of these guys, the idea, the leverage I want these guys to start thinking is not so much about how much am I getting paid. Start thinking about how do I become a partner and equity share in this? Because if I help you blow this thing up, I deserve that. Snoop Dogg helped Instagram blow up.
I didn't even know that.
You know, there was a story on that. If Snoop Dogg helped Instagram blow up, but then Snoop doesn't own anything from Instagram.
So he don't get none of that.
He don't get none of that.
The rich sell things and the wealthy own things.
Own things.
Wow.
Equity, such a different ball
It's a
game.
different ball game.
Crazy.
Short-term versus long-term thinking, man. That's exactly what we've been going over for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, so why didn't you bring any of your clients here?
You know, this is coming out to the vault the second time as we're growing. Literally, we're still an infant, I feel like, right? This is the second year we're going into the NIL. Last year, college players, like, this is the second year of legally getting paid.
Okay.
Just accept that for a second.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing, realize is so special, such as a special niche that, you know, when you're building a team, this is part of the elimination process, right? Because some guys were supposed to be here, but it helps to figure out who's going to be your team. You know, that's why I love these events, because sometimes even the things that look like a downfall is a blessing.
Yes.
Because now you start niching out, all right, this is my guy, and this is not my teammate. This is the guy.
Reliability, baby.
Ain't that
the truth, man?
Right? Because sometimes guys will be like, you're going to do it. and that guy's gonna do it. But it's better when they're experienced. So for me now, it's really more concerned on myself than saying, next year, it has to be a different ball game, because now things like this could be shared information that can say, wow, I need to be there. That sense of urgency, because everything is a value pack, right? The value pack we learned today, we look at the price now, we're not even sticker shocking it. It's like, oh, it's worth the value.
Oh,
Yeah, 100%.
But if you've never seen it before, you can start asking, well, what am I getting for this?
Yep.
So it's mindset.
More than you can remember to take home with you.
Correct. All right, give us your closing thoughts on the Vault, the last couple days experience, stuff you might implement. Give us what you got.
Man, I don't even know where to begin. It's really the Vault is the bank for life.
Yeah.
Right? It's literally not just strategies, network individuals like yourself, but like-minded individuals that my energy, I can hang out, I don't run out of energy. I can go all day and not be hungry. It'd be midnight, 3 o'clock in the a.m., I'm still talking about, I'm still running on fire. So my biggest takeaway is the people you're around makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Because when I get around like-minded individuals like this, I'm not afraid to stretch my thinking, my thoughts, what's possible. And I'm more inspired now to even work hard on myself to say, I got a lot to grow and to do, but that's exciting because now I have something to go work forward to.
Yeah.
And every levels, there's new devils. And now I'm ready to handle these new levels.
Every levels, there's new devils.
There's new devils.
I like the way you said that though too, is you, when you're around people like this, you feel like you're capable of more.
Right.
It's hard to, when you're at home hanging out with those guys who, they don't really push the envelope and try to make it big. It's hard to sit with them and say, hey, I'm gonna make $100 million.
Right.
Because for them, it's not even realistic.
Right.
And they can't believe it.
They can't believe it.
But when you're here, we're sitting with 100 people who've done it.
Dude, the guy I was sitting next to earlier, he made $74 million.
In a year.
Yeah, he made $74 million. Guy sitting right next to me.
Incredible.
Insane.
We are a tribe. This is my favorite cult.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. I'm experiencing things that gives me more reason to know there's more to life.
Yes.
Right? And when you get around individuals that are showing you there's more to life, that's an energy in itself that's addictive, that's like, oh. A few days ago, I was sharing with the individuals downstairs. I had a chance to go to the Mar-a-Lago, and I was in that neighborhood, and I was mind blown. We talk about $30 million homes, some homes up there to $350 million homes. And as I was driving to the neighborhood, walking through the neighborhood, I was fortunate to see what a private beach looks like. To have access to a beach.
I saw it on your Instagram.
Right, and it's just you.
It's crazy.
It's just you, nobody else, you. And I never thought that far, that you could actually have the ocean.
Your own ocean.
Your own
You
ocean.
own a sliver of the ocean, really.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's out there and it's attainable.
I was trying to get a fish tank.
I got a pet shark.
He said, I got a goldfish.
I was trying to get a goldfish. This guy said, forget the pool. Give me the ocean.
That's it.
I want this never ending. I want the whole view.
Sky is the limit, man. The sky is the limit.
I don't want to go to the beach with nobody else. I want to go to the beach as me and my papos. That's it. Me and my that's it. Nobody else. Privacy.
That's beautiful.
And to me, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, being there myself let me know that like you're not here by accident.
Yeah.
Individuals I'm running to, you guys, this not by accident. We're about to shock the world with this info.
Absolutely.
The world's gonna be a disruption. We create disruption. And so come together in a group like say, hey, you know what? That's a beautiful thing. Let's go do something. Most people will never do this because they talk about it and then they wait for months and years to do it, and most people do it and don't do it.
No.
But we just like, hey, let's take action. That's the difference. We took action, and now we're about to make.
We Nike. We just do it.
Just do it. All right, Alex. Thank you for coming on, dude. You're the man. We appreciate
Pleasure to
you.
meet you,
Now,
dude.
let me ask you a serious question, though.
sir.
Are you so close to Emmitt Smith because really you're his long-lost cousin? Because you look just like him. I mean,
Fun fact, though. I will say this about fun fact. Fun fact. So my high school teammate, Jesse Wuji, he, it's so crazy because I grew up in Nigeria and he's Nigerian himself, and I never thought in a million years this kid that you would think was scared of driving fast is now a NASCAR driver. And then his sponsor, and guess who? Emmitt Smith.
Oh my God. That's full circle, baby.
Yeah. So, You never know, right?
Yeah.
And so now Emmitt Smith is so I'll show you. It's a beautiful thing to see people's dreams come true in a manner where you like, man, I remember when it was just a dream, and now this is like a real thing. That's it. Let me see if I could bless you guys with
The
this.
quote I wanted to say before, while you're getting that. You know how to make money, you'll become a millionaire. If you know how to help other people make money, you become a billionaire. That's what it was.